In the previous lesson, we saw how we can work with exteriors and creating prod viz and architecture viz. So visualization and rendering in Rhino using cycles. So we picked a model from Sketchfab, and also we worked on a model that we created before. And also we worked on cleaning up the model. So if we don't need to see what's inside the house from the exterior, we can clean it up and make it as much light as we can. So try to avoid really big scenes with a lot of objects here in Rhino, because you're gonna need a really strong computer or they won't be supported. One thing we could do here also is well, we can expand if you want a bigger render. Also, I like to use monochrome from time to time because this is to just focus on the 3D model. So it's kind of a technical drawing, and it's better if you need to do, well, nothing realistic, but something more like an architecture model. And then you have also others here that we're gonna see later. So I'm gonna move on to the next topic, and we're gonna work on interior. So I'm gonna open up another file here, and just like I did for the exterior, I used the original scene and I try to clean up everything like from the exterior that is not needed in the interior rendering. So by doing this, you will, make things a little bit better when you render the interior. So for example, I don't need here all this stuff. I can delete basically all the exteriors except the thing that you see from the interiors. So if you are like in your living room and you want to see the swimming pool, then you can leave it. But in this case, I want to do something really simple, so I'm going to delete all the assets here in the exterior part. Here the rooms are already empty, but there is I see here some lights, so I'm gonna delete them. And these are proxies from Enscape, so I don't really need them. And continue to delete and clean up the scene. So I have some models here from Enscape, which will be visible just as proxies in let me zoom selected. Zoom selected is a wonderful tool to get your camera right into the point where you want to work. So you can see delete all these proxies because they come from Enscape, and they will not be good when you render them in Rhino unless you're using Enscape. And you can see if you want to put lighting device, artificial lights, remember you need to put a light on every device that you insert. There I have a lamp, and inside I have an Omni light. So we talked about the lights before, so I'm gonna delete here the lights that I don't want to use. And then we're gonna start like really from the basic. That's the glass. So I'm gonna go back, put back that glass. Make sure that you have the correct meshes. So try to explore and see things that you don't need. Just delete them in the 3D model. So we're gonna start by focusing on a 3D model, and then we're gonna go into materials and then in the lighting. So I think we can leave this couple of proxies or people. Now in the scene, you can also see this kitchen here that I got from TubaSquid, which is another website where you can get models. So let me just show you. And here you have 3ds Max, Maya, Cinema 4D, Blender, models, etc., etc. So you can find also the courses on this software in our channel. So I'm going to look for kitchen modern or modern kitchen, whatever. And I'm going to just put the price to 0 so I can see the free scenes and the free models that you can download. And I found this right here. So this is the one you want if you want to follow. Otherwise, you can use any other model, or you can create your own kitchen, of course, by just modeling as we already know how to do. So you can download by clicking. You need to register, and once you download it, it will be an FBX file. As you can see here, this was created in Blender and uses cycles rendering, so we should be fine with the materials. And the FBX file is the one that we use. So I'm gonna close, and here I'm gonna go to File, Import, or just drag and drop And I have a folder here which I called TurboSquid. So I'm gonna get it from here, and there it is. So that's the name, import. And I'm gonna change here to fix the epsilon on the z-axis so that it's gonna be rotated correctly. And you can see there in the top view. So you can see that this author here that created this kitchen didn't create the entire apartment. It just created a room. And that's the smart way to work. Just, try to make your scene as small as you can so you can optimize. Now, in our case, we do have our scene, so I just need to delete again what I don't need from this imported model. So I'm gonna select, for example, the doors. This is kind of a TV screen, and these are some lamps, so perhaps we can keep them, and just delete everything else. Well, the floor, we don't need it, we already have it. And there you go. Now I'm just gonna use these 3 lamps, which I actually deleted, but I think this can be helpful to put some artificial lights. And so Control G to group, and then I'm gonna put them, like for example here on top of the island. I also like move things just a little from the original file, and then I'm gonna make a copy. So Control C to copy, and Control V. I'm gonna put it on the top of the dining area. So and these are meshes, as you can see. These are not NURBS solids, so if you want to work with them, you need to convert them into solids, but again, I'm gonna show you just in a minute. Okay, so let's say this is fine. I'm gonna delete all the rest because I already put it in this area. As you can see, I scale it down, I make it fit, and that's it. So now let's get quickly where we want to go. I can select this and then right click, zoom selected all viewports, and in a really short time we are in the position where we want to be. Okay, so let's see what's happening at the moment in this render. So let's run the first ray tracing render, and there you go. So we already have something. We need to, of course, fix a lot of things. Now the first thing I want to show you is that I put here some light just inside the window. So if I put this outside, is going to be probably masking a little bit, or it's going to be less intense because we have a window glass in there. So I'm going to put it just slightly inside, and you can see it's too strong. So remember, you can manage the lights from the lights panel, and this is the one that I am looking at right now, which doesn't seem too strong, but let's just, you can decrease the intensity from here, or you can decrease it from here. So let's put like 0.1. Now I call this type of lights portals because they simulate the light that comes from the natural environment outside. So they're meant to be really low in terms of intensity. And I put one on just on this window here. It's basically a rectangle light, by the way. So if you see it, like in another view, it's a rectangle light with the same dimensions of that aperture. And you are supposed to do that for every aperture. So here I have another one. So I put another rectangle light, and you can see it like here from the side. Also, let's adjust a little bit. There you go. So that's right there. So you can see it's simulating like a light coming from the outside. That's the purpose. Now check if you have missing materials and fix that. So in this case, I'm just gonna assign this object to another layer. So I'm gonna select this mesh frame, and I'm gonna assign to a layer which has wood. So fix that. Don't leave anything without material. And if it doesn't fix like this, you need to go in the material and change it, use layer material in this case. Okay, so we are basically lining up this scene right now with natural light and also portal lights that simulate natural light. Also, when you don't select nothing or anything in the scene, you can change the camera settings. Now for the camera settings, when you are in an interior, you probably want to change the lens length into something smaller like 30 or 25. So you're going to have like a more perspective view like this, and it's going to be better. And also if you want to have straight lines with vertical lines, you need to change here and use the Z location the same. Let's put like 150 for the camera so point of view, and then 150 for the target. So if you have the same value here, you're gonna have straight renders without oblique lines. Now if we open the panel called named views, this is where we can save new views and we can recall it on our wheel. So let's call this modern kitchen, so then we will be able to retrieve it anytime from here. And you can see we also have other saved views, so I can switch from a save view to another, and I actually saved that in Enscape. And also if I want to adjust the view a little bit, I can do it. Let me use also, like, you have the zoom here, the navigation tools, so we can use them to adjust the view. And so if I want to go here and right click, I can duplicate this or just save the current viewport as a nav view. And so I can replace it if I call it with the same name. Now let's continue to fix the geometry, and then we will focus on materials and lights. So I want to show you also a couple of tools. So I'm gonna change here into monochrome or monochromatic. This is gonna override everything with the material as we just saw before. So we can move a little bit easier inside. And let me show you here this picture frame. So here we have straight corners. Actually, we have straight corners in a lot of parts of our model, and these are not really good when you need to render. Straight corners, they are not really realistic. So also here in the table, let me push this a little back. We added this with the modeling tools, with the fillet and the chamfer, and that's good for rendering. But sometimes when we import or when we create something, they don't have always straight corners, like in this case. So I'm just gonna, pick something to show you. So we can add them as an effect, just as a render effect. So if I get real close here, let me out with the, okay, you can see that that has a straight corner right now. So if I select it and go into the properties and always check if it's a physical based or a Rhino material, if it's an escape material, another type, just change it. And so here what I want to change here is the edge softening. So I can select it from here, or I can select it from the render tools right here. And that's gonna open this other panel. So I'm gonna turn them on, and you can see right away the change. If you want to see it better, just increase the softening. You can see now the corner is nice and soft and is not like straight sharp corner. Now you can also use a chamfer, which is fair enough. So try to not exaggerate these effects. So try to put just a little chamfer, just a little rounded corner will be fine to make the object more realistic in the render. So you can put faceted if you don't want it too heavy, and also the edge threshold, or you can force the softening if you need a soft corner, but right now we don't really need it. So also here, same thing, it's really quick. Just select the objects and put a little fake chamfer. So if you render this, it will be fine. If you print this effect will not be visible. This is just a render effect. Another cool render effect I'm gonna show you here is to add the ShutLining, little relief or carvings. So to do this, I need to create a curve. So I need to draw a curve, but before I draw it, I need to set a work plane on this surface. So set C plane to surface. I select the surface here, but it doesn't select it. Why? Because this is not a solid, but it's a mesh. So we need to turn it into a solid first. So I'm going to go in the mesh tools and I'm going to look for this, which is convert objects to NURBS. Right click and delete the input objects. Yes. Press enter, and now we have a solid object, a NURBS object. So now I can use the well, you can do it manually. You can take this with the solid tools. You can chamfer this manually if you want, if you prefer. It's gonna be good as well. Otherwise, you can apply the effect. But let's now go into the work plane, and I'm gonna use set C plane to surface, and now I am able to select that surface, and I'm just gonna decide how to put the X and the epsilon. Once I do that, I can draw a curve. So I'm gonna draw here something, I don't know, something like this. You can do it however you want. Let me go in shaded mode. Okay. One thing, if you are in one of these views, you can decide in the options here of the view if you want to show or hide like curves or things like that. So here I would just hiding it, but this is still visible in the shaded. So I'm going to go back into the shaded, select the object that I want to use, and go back to the properties, and let's add this ShutLining on, add, and let's click on the curve we want to use to put this effect. And press enter. It's going to take a little, and there you go. That's the curve right there. And let's increase the radius because we cannot really see the effect otherwise. So select the object, ShutLining. We have one in, so select it, and then increase the radius like to 1 or maybe more. So 1 is 1 centimeter, so maybe we need more. And then you can choose, okay, it's working. Once you get it, you can change the profile. You can make like a rounded profile, or like a pinch curve here, or a straight, like a chamfer effect. And you can see these effects will take a toll on your rendering process. So don't use them too much because they're gonna, they're pretty cool, but they're gonna be heavy in the end. Also, you can carve as we are doing here, or you can make it raised, meaning that it's gonna go like a relief. Okay, so try to put it like on smaller objects, otherwise it will be like too heavy. And here you also have other options that you can try, but I'm just gonna turn it off. This was just to show you quickly. I also change the type of line, and in my experience, it gets really slow when you have really complex objects. So try to put it in smaller parts, not like in the whole kitchen like I'm doing right now. Another pretty strong effect is the displacement. So this one here, let me isolate now this model. So I'm gonna isolate the walls. Okay, and let's see which materials is applied to the walls. Okay, let's create a new one, and materials should be physically based, and these are better. And when you add here detail settings, we can add the bump and normal displacement. So this is where you can add a displacement map. And for example, I got this from Polyoven, and this one here, it's really, well, not strong displacement, but I can use it and I can see how it works. Now for all these effects, you can check also the manual, and this shows you the difference between using like a bump and a displacement. So displacement is actual geometry being extruded. So in this case, you see you can use it with a mesh. You need to have a lot of polygons, and here you have all the settings explained. So uh, you can check the manual anytime for more information. I usually prefer to use the normal rather than the displacement or the bump. So construct your materials as you already know how to do. So put all the texture that you need. So roughness for the walls, and let's continue now to work with the materials. So first thing I want to check is the kitchen. So if I get closer here, we have some lights that we can set up. So we can just put an emission here, and of course with a bright color. Okay, so I can start to create some lights with complex shapes, and then I can bump up the intensity. So if I want to simulate like LED stripes or things like that, and you can also make it warmer or colder. And also the TV screen here, we can fix it. So I'm gonna select it, and you can see we already have a physical material. We already have an emission material. That's another way we can do this. Instead of going with the emission, you can go with the physically based and add an emission layer. There you go. That's gonna override the image. So what you want to do is hold Control, click and drag this, and release it in the emission color. So you have that screen effect. And also the lights here. So now I'm gonna stop the render. Otherwise it gets too heavy. So let's put in shaded mode. Now for each lamp you have in the scene, you need to put a light. So you can go from here, render tools, and choose. Now if you want sharper shadows, you can use point lights. Otherwise you can use rectangular lights, which are a little bit more diffuse. Okay, so you create the first one, you put it into position using the various views, and you put it just inside the model. And then you can duplicate them just by copying and pasting, or you can use also the array. So usually I use the linear array, and I say here 3 items, press enter. First reference point is going to be the middle, and the second is going to be the other one, and then you can see creates a third copy. And run a render and see if the intensity is fine. If it's too high, just decrease. If it's too low, increase. But I can say that this is fine. And also here I cannot see a material, so I'm gonna go and assign one. So okay, this has like many materials applied, but we can just apply one. And if we don't have anything here, we just create a new one. I'm gonna go with this metal look, which is fine. And so you can continue to add artificial lights at will. For example, I can put also others in these other ones, and then just run a render and see how they're behaving. Now also, if you select the lights together, you will be able to manage them together, like changing intensity and also changing the shadows intensity if the shadows are too strong on the floor and they create like not nice shadowing. And also we can change the fall off to inverse square, which is gonna make like less bright but more realistic. So you can try to arrange all these different settings in here. Okay, and also let's check the materials again. For example, this is a glass, but clarity is not too much. So if you want a clear glass, you should increase that. Otherwise, you're gonna have like frosted glass effect. And also this one looks a little bit too blue here in the window. It's the same glass of the table, so maybe we can change this into a clearer glass, so like window glass, or I can use layer and put those objects directly onto the layer, and from here I can change And you can see the IOR also is important. Glass is going to be 1.52. And now let's take care of the exterior, because we can see the exterior from the interiors in this case. In other cases we don't, but in this one yes, so we need to fix it. And so we're going to go and use here the environment, or just directly, and I think I'm going to go to low quality now to continue to render, but like quicker. So, and so I can handle the lines from here. Samples, let's put 30, and so it's going to be quicker. Okay, less defined but quicker. And so let's put the 360 environment, and if we don't have anything, we can just create a basic environment and then modify it applying an HDR texture, as we already know how to do. So I'm going to go to Polyoven, select one of these that looks fine, the Pretoria Garden or whatever. And once I have it in there as my basic environment, just you need to wait a few seconds. There you go. Well, you can adjust it. You can change the intensity and all the rest. You can change the rotation, as we already know. And we can already see something there in the background. And so I can use it also for the reflections and for the lining coming from the outside. And then I handle everything from here. So if I want the sun coming in, I increase the intensity of the sun. If I want skylight to be visible, I increase the intensity or decrease. If I want a night scene, I will decrease the intensity of the sun and the skylight. So everything should look darker in there. And let me see here, skylight, okay. Let me go on the outside just for a second. Yeah, you can see it's pretty dark. Otherwise, if I want a day scene, I'm gonna bump up the sun and the skylight, and you can see also the sun direction. So you can do it from here. You can set it from here. You can set a location. You can set months and an hour, or you can do it like manually. So with the manual control, you can define where's the north and also the height of the sun. So you can see now it's kind of coming from this way. And let's go back in and see if we can see it. If we don't, we can just fix the... And also, I think I have... Yeah, we don't want the ground plane. Otherwise, it's gonna like hide the horizon there. We want to see instead the environment. And I cannot see the sun yet, so let me try to change. There you go. Now we are starting to see something, and now we can see it is coming on from the window. So that's the effect I was looking for. So this will be all for this lesson. Just gonna turn everything now into final quality, and I'm gonna push up the samples to 4000 to get the final result. And as you saw, we go through all the different topics like materials, lights, environment, etc., etc. Try to find the correct, the situation that you like the most. So this will be all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe to the channel to stay updated. If you want to thank us, support us, please join the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next.